I am Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association practice the Buddhist teachings as taught by the 13th century Japanese Buddhist sage Nichiren Shonin. It is Nichiren who teaches us that the highest of the Buddhist teachings is the Lotus Sutra. Now, we have an exciting lecture for you today. Now, our lecture today is called Donald Trump, the new president, Black Buddhist lecture. Now, when we think about the Buddhist religion, most of us have in mind that Buddhism is about some Asian on a mountain or it relates to Asians. Actually, the true Buddhist teachings is that of the Lotus Sutra, and it has nothing to do with Asians. Now, the true Buddhism is actually about your everyday life. That is how the Lotus Sutra explains it. Now, there is a ghost show. Now, the ghost show is called The Gift, the Rights. Now, when we learn Nichiren Buddhism, we learn our Buddhist teachings from what is called the Ghost Show. The Ghost Show is letters that Nichiren Shonin wrote to his disciples. Now, we at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association practice the teachings of Nichiren Shonin, and we do it by studying the Ghost Show. Now, the Ghost Show teaches us that Nichiren Buddhism, or Buddhism of the Lotus Sutra, is our everyday life. Now, there's a Ghost Show called The Gift of Rice. Now, the Gift of Rice says, quote, "The true path lies in affairs of this world. The Golden Light Sutra states, quote, to have a profound knowledge of this world is itself Buddhism. The Nirvana Sutra states, quote, all of the non-Buddhist scriptures and writings in society are themselves Buddhist teachings and not non-Buddhist teachings," unquote. It goes on further. When the great teacher Milo compared these passages with the one from the 6th volume of the Lotus Sutra, it reads, quote, "No worldly affairs of life or work are ever contrary to the true reality." He revealed their meanings and pointed out that although the first two sutras are profound, since their meaning is still shallow and fails to approach that of the Lotus Sutra, they relate to secular matters in terms of Buddhism. But it's the Lotus Sutra that explains, in the end, secular matters are the entirety of Buddhism, unquote. You see, in plain and common sense terms, our 2016 presidential election is Buddhism. You see, we at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association is the black voice of Buddhism. We're excited because we give an inclusion of African Americans into the Buddhist religion, and the Buddhist religion is not about some Asian monk on some mountain. The Buddhist religion is your everyday life. Now, we who are Nichiren Buddhists practice the Lotus Sutra. Now, we chant the title of the Lotus Sutra, now, which is Yo Ho Renge Kyo. Now, Nichiren added the Pali word, Namu, which means to awaken. It also means to give reverence, and it means devotion. Now, the word Yo means correct. It also means incomprehensible. It means mystic. It means wonderful. We also like to say that the word Yo means God, because it means wonderful. That's the word Yo. Now, the word Ho explains the election. You see, everything in the universe is whole, or the 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. See, Ho explains the mutually inclusive relationship of life and phenomena. For example, last night we had a presidential election, whereas Donald J. Trump became the 45th president of the United States of America. Now, this election is Buddhism because this election is what we call whole. Now, this gives you an explanation. Now, the word Ren means lotus, and it also means cause. So you got, it means cause, and Ge means effect. So when you say Namu Myoho Renge, Renge means lotus flower, because the flower and the seed comes together, and it's an analogy for the meaning, or it explains the law of cause and effect. For example, the presidential election of Donald J. Trump is the manifestation of whole, or it is just a manifestation of the law of cause and effect. That's why it is Buddhism, or that's why all phenomena is Buddhism. Now, let me explain. See, the Lotus Sutra explains the concept of whole, or the 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. You see, we have 10 worlds, or 10 spiritual conditions. This is what Buddhism teaches. So, for example, we have 10 spiritual conditions. For example, the lowest condition is the world of hell. Then you got the next condition is the world of hunger. Then the next condition is you got hell, hunger, then animality. You're going on your instincts, it's animality. Hell, hunger, animality. Then you go into the world of anger. Then you go to the world from anger to the world of humanity. Nothing good, nothing bad, that's humanity. Now, the sixth world is the world of heaven, where when you look on TV last night and you see Donald Trump, and you see the Donald Trump supporters, they were so elated because Donald Trump won. See, they were in the world of heaven, whereas you see those who support Hillary Clinton, like myself, we go into the world of hell, or some of us go into the world of anger. Now, you got these 10 worlds. You got hell, hunger, animality, then you got anger. Then you got the world of humanity, that's the 5th world. Now the 6th world is the world of happiness, which you got this temporary state of happiness. Now, then you got from the 6th world of heaven, then you got the world of learning. That is, we can get involved in something and learn about something. These are the 4 higher conditions. Then you got the world of self-realization, which is the 8th. Now the 9th world is Buddhahood, or Bodhisattva, to where you want to do good for others. That's a world like being Christ-like. So that's the world of Bodhisattva. And the 10th world is what we strive to be as Buddhists. That is, we strive to reach Buddhahood, or an enlightened life condition where we understand life and all universal phenomena. Now, you got 10 worlds. Now, each world exists in each world. For example, you can be in the world of hell and the world of Buddhahood. For example, a Nelson Mandela, for example, was in prison for 32 years, but in his mind, he lifted himself to a higher life condition. You see, there are different types of hell. So you got 10 worlds, and each world exists into each world, which is 100 worlds. Now, you take these 100 worlds, and the 100 worlds manifest in what we call karma. Karma is like 10 aspects. See, karma is the law of cause and effect, but karma manifests itself in a physical form, or in a series of cause and effect relationships. For example, in the 10 aspects, you got an appearance. You got an appearance, you got a nature, then you got an entity. The appearance and nature and entity leads to a power, and the power leads to an influence. Now the influence comes because of an inherent cause. And the inherent cause happened because of a relationship. Now the relationship happened, then you got a latent effect, then you got a manifest effect, and all of this run in consistent from beginning to the end. For example, last night you had what is called an appearance. Donald Trump had an appearance, and he made the appearance in 2016, November 8th, 2016, as the 45th President of the United States of America. Now there's an appearance of Donald Trump, then you had the nature of Donald Trump, and then you had the entity of Donald Trump. See, the appearance and nature and entity led to the power of Donald Trump as the president. The power of the president led to an influence. The influence comes from an inherent cause. You see, you got the influence, you got an inherent cause. Well, what is this inherent cause? In a very simplistic way, the inherent cause of Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States of America is that it's an inherent cause of the relationship he had with President Barack Obama, who was the first black president of the United States. Donald Trump didn't like the black president of the United States of America, so what he did, he ran to be the president, and it was an inherent cause. And what it was, his election is the result or the effect of a black man becoming president, because what he did was mobilize white people to challenge a black man being president, or what is perceived as being the loss of white status. Now, so again, you got an appearance, a nature, an entity, a power, an influence, an inherent cause, a relationship. Then what you have, like in Donald Trump, you have a latent effect. We don't know what he's going to do, but there is a latent effect. A whole lot of stuff is going to happen. So you got a latent effect, and eventually it's going to become a manifest effect. Now the manifest effect is going to eventually come to the 10th one, and all of this is consistency from the beginning to the end. Now, once you go, again, we expand it as 10 worlds, times 10 worlds is 100 worlds, times 10 aspects, and the 10 aspects go, that's 1,000 worlds. So you got 100 worlds, times 10 aspects is 1,000 worlds, times the 3 realms of existence. Now the 3 realms explains, see, you can be right next to somebody, but you will not be necessarily in the same life condition. For example, there was Van Jones, who expressed a lot of remorse and anger and hurt for us black people because we were feeling bad to see Hillary Clinton lose. Now, the white man beside him, see, you had 2 different aspects. See, one of the realms is the realm of the 5 components. That is an appearance, then you got a perception, then you got a conception, you got a volition, and you got a consciousness. So that is one of the realms of the 5 consciousness. Then you got the realm of living beings, and then you got the realm of the environment. Now, what I want to do first, I want to show you a video of Van Jones who expressed the feelings and the compassion. And he is expressing the racism that the cause of really Donald Trump winning. The pundits say, oh, we don't understand. Oh, it's a miracle. Oh, they give all these reasons. And what Van Jones said was, really, we need to talk about racism because no one wants to talk about it. The reason that Hillary Clinton lost and the reason that Donald Trump won is that we have 70% of white people in America. Now, those people who live in rural America, they were the ones who went out and voted and came out in numbers in support of Donald Trump, despite him being unqualified, never taking office. You see, this is whole or the mystic law. Let's listen to Van Jones tell his feelings about how he was hurt about this and the racism. We're going to come back and put a period on this lecture. Donald Trump President of the United States, Black Buddhist lecturer. Let's listen to Van Jones and come back and put a period on it.
You're further than anybody said you would be. And I have enough class, and I was raised well enough to say when you outdo,
yes, sir, thank you.
When you outdo expectations, good for you. But there's another side to this. People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country? I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites. True, it was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes. And Donald Trump has a responsibility tonight to come out and reassure people that he is going to be the president of all the people who he insulted and offended and brushed aside. Yeah, when you say, you want to take your country back, you got a lot of people who feel that we're not represented well either. But we don't want to feel that someone has been elected by throwing away some of us to appeal more deeply to others. So this is a deeply painful moment tonight. I know it's not just about race. There's more going on than that. But race is here too.
Now, we have given you a different idea of Buddhism, or we've kind of explained to you the 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence, or at least we give you an idea of what the Lotus Sutra. See, the Lotus Sutra is the highest of the Buddha's teachings. Now, Nichiren Shonin wrote this, exactly what I say, but this is how Nichiren explains it. There's a gosho called The Entity of the Mystic Law, and it reads, quote, the great teacher Milo comment on this as follows: the true aspect invariably manifests in all phenomena, and all phenomena invariably manifest in the 10 factors. The 10 factors manifest in the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds invariably manifest in life and the environment. Unquote. You see, Tentai commented, all phenomena consist of 10 factors, 10 worlds, and 3,000 realms are the entities of the Lotus Sutra. See, please understand that this entity is what happened is the Lotus Sutra, or its Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, let us explain this via the Gosho. Now, the Gosho, again, are letters that Nichiren Shonin wrote to his disciples, and we're going to kind of explain the election this way. And the Gosho is called the Entity of the Mystic Law, that reads, quote, these two aspects, the deluded and the enlightened, are indeed two different phenomena, yet both are workings of one principle. That is the essential nature of phenomena, or the true aspect of reality. It is like a piece of crystal. If the crystal is placed in the sun rays, it will attract them and produce fire. But if it is placed in the moon rays, it will produce water. The crystal is a single entity, but the effects it produces differ according to the circumstances. The Gosho further reads, quote, the mystic principle of the true aspect of reality is like this. The mystic principle of the true aspect of reality is one, but if it encounters evil influences, it will manifest delusion, while if it encounters good influences, it will manifest enlightenment. Enlightenment means enlightenment to the essential nature of phenomena, and delusion is ignorance of it. Unquote. You see, this is the essence of our practice in Buddhism and having faith in the Lotus Sutra. What exactly does this mean? It means if we encounter good influences, we'll manifest enlightenment. But if we encounter evil influences, we'll manifest delusion. We practice Buddhism to become enlightened to the essential nature of phenomena. We bring ourselves not to manifest delusion. Now, in the Go Show, it's called On Establishing the Buddha's Teachings. It reads, quote, "But a person's heart may change with the times, and the nature of a thing may alter with its surroundings, just as the moon on the water will be tossed about by the waves, or the soldiers in the vanguard will be cowed by the swords of the enemy. So although at this moment you may say you believe in my words, I fear that later you forget them completely. Now, if you wish first to bring security to the nation and to pray for our present and future lives, then we must hasten to examine and consider the situation and take measures as soon as possible to remedy it." Unquote. You see, this election, even though it was marred in racism, we have a chance to change things by changing ourselves. You see, the evil, racism, divisiveness, and the challenges that we face in America via the election of Donald J. Trump is evil karma. Now, there's a Go Show called Curing Karmic Diseases, and it reads, quote, "The Lotus Sutra is like a great physician who can change poison into medicine." Tentai explained the quotation further, saying, quote, "This can be likened to a skilled physician who can change poison into medicine. That persons of the two vehicles were given the prophecy of their enlightenment in the sutra means that it can change poison into medicine." Unquote. You see, what happened last night brought us a lot of pain and suffering. And we who are African American know that with the Supreme Court nominee and the Republicans and being mean-spirited, controlling all three parts of government, from the executive to judiciary, they got all the government. The legislators, they making all the laws, they controlling everything. This is a tough position to be in. But by us praying for the nation, by us having a higher life condition, and by us having faith in the Lotus Sutra, we can change poison into medicine, because the Lotus Sutra is like a great physician who can change poison into medicine. Now, for many in America, the election leaves us with hopelessness. Now, the Go Show on Practicing the Buddha's Teaching reads, quote, "The time will come when all people will abandon various kinds of vehicles and take up the single vehicle of Buddhahood, and the mystic law alone will flourish throughout the land. When the people chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, the wind will no longer buffet the branches, and the rain will no longer break the clouds of sorrow. The world will become as it was in the ages of Fuku Shangnam. In their present existence, people will be free from the misfortune and disasters and learn the art of living long. Realize that the time will come when the truth will be revealed that both the person and the law are unaging and eternal. There cannot be the slightest doubt about the Sutra's promise of peace and security in their present existence. I am Anthony M. Elmore, President and founder of the proud Black Buddhist World Association, bringing you a Black Buddhist lecture on Donald J. Trump, the new President of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Get down on my knees and I pray every day. I pray the Lord will suit your way. I pray every day to do my best to practice peace and love and respect. I get down on my knees and I pray every day. I pray the Lord will suit your way. Devotion to the mystic law and cause and effect teaching, I believe, and wisdom preaching. I get down on my knees and I pray every day. I pray the Lord will suit your way. The Lord will suit you. Makes a lot of sense. It's about self-development and enlightenment. I get down on my knees and I pray every day.